and welcome back to the Double DSQ, a Formula One podcast. We are your hosts, Hayden and Robin. I before we get started, just want to apologize for being MIA because we've been radio silent basically since the last podcast episode, which
Unfortunate.
is unfortunately, yeah, kind of on me because I was finishing university, so very busy last week, which was up until Canada. I literally I went to London on the Canada race day, and then I was watching it on the train home. Because I was on the train home. Yeah, yeah. I wasn't gonna. And then it I kept getting like texts being like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna tune in on the train. And yeah, okay, we'll get into that because there was anyway, we'll get into
Oh
that.
man.
So then I went on an impromptu holiday to Spain that my mum told me about the week before, and I was like, what the hell, sure. Why not? Which did mean we couldn't record about Canada because I was in fact in Spain on like the entire week between Canada and Monaco. So we will cover Canada and Monaco today. It's going to be one hell of a podcast episode.
So
Um,
much happened.
so much happened. Oh, my
Ugh.
headphones fell out. But yeah, so that's my apology. Hopefully from now on, apart from maybe a couple, we will be on top of everything. But
Yes, fingers crossed.
yeah, very busy few weeks. And we have news first before we get into some
Yes.
races. First, the intros. Yes,
Yes.
sorry. Do you want to?
Sure, I can kick us off. Hi, everybody. My name is Hayden. You can find me on TikTok at Haydens.hyperfixations and on Twitter and Instagram at MCUITD. I should probably change those now that I think about it, but that's a problem for later me. Um, my brainworm of the week, Oscar B Astri, except B stands for wasp, because
Yeah.
he's been so full of whimsy the past few days. Okay, so if you didn't know, I'm sure you know, but if you didn't know, there was a biologist slash researcher who discovered a new species of wasp trapped in amber that named the wasp, like he named the species after Oscar Piastri. So I
Yep.
believe the official like scientific name is Gwesped Piastri, and then Piastri is spelled with two I's at the end. So he's
Yep.
been just like wasp maxing the past few days. He was so
It's so
nonchalant
funny.
about it, I say sarcastically, because
Hmm.
famously he was nonchalant about it. Um, I think it's adorable, and I think
Hmm.
we are gonna get some really good merch out of this, thank God.
Yes. I hope
But
so.
Oscar B Astri, except the B is a wasp, for me is my brain worm.
Hmm.
Now, how about
Hmm.
you?
So I'm Robin. You can find me at Twitter and TikTok, even though I think I'm shadow banned on TikTok right now, at Forza Rebellion. Yeah, it's really sad. No one's seen my videos. Anyway, that's not the point. Um, I don't know if I have a brainworm of the week this week, other than I've just been so caught up in trying to like finish uni and relax. I actually haven't like
Graduation.
I know I graduate in like a month, which is
Oh,
crazy.
that's so far.
I know, I don't know why it's like the end of July. I don't know why.
Ew.
It's
Sorry.
actually it's actually the Wednesday after Belgium.
Spa!
Yeah, it's the Wednesday after Spa is when I graduate, which is
Spa!
fun.
That's fun
Um,
though. I need to get to
yeah.
spa. I really want to go next year.
I want come with me.
I
Come with
have
me.
such bad FOMO this year. I was supposed to have like a mini European summer, and I was gonna go to England with my friend, but that trip kind of like flaked like puff pastry, unfortunately.
You should come anyway.
I'm thinking about it. Not gonna lie to you.
Wait.
I know, I know.
You
Um,
should.
it would be in the first couple weeks of August, perhaps.
That's
I
fine.
don't know.
That's
And
like the only time I don't have anything planned.
yeah, and it's also the time of the summer where there's nothing happening in Europe. And then Zandvoort, which
Yeah.
is technically my birthday race because it happens like 2 days after my birthday, is the week that I start school or my last
Oh
semester.
no.
So I can't even like time it for that, which
No.
is sad.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, or fortunately based on whoever you talk to, not a lot of international flights going in and out of Tallahassee, Florida. Shocker, I know. So unfortunately, Zandvoort is not on the cards this year, which is sad because
Yeah,
it's the
that's a
last
shame.
year, at least, that it's a consistent entry on the calendar. Again, which is sad.
Mm.
Happy, or should I say sad, 1 year anniversary to the Barcelona or Spanish Grand Prix of last year, where Max Verstappen dropped from 5th to 10th after purposefully driving into George Russell at the end of the
Yeah.
race because he was mad at him.
I still kind of rate him for that though. I'm just like I
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Yeah, he's still kind of real for that. As much
Yeah.
as I love George, that is
Yeah.
absolutely something I would do.
Yeah.
So props to him for doing it. However, it did drop him. I think he dropped like 5 points, maybe, which was well above what he needed to win the championship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That actually would have given him the championship, which is quite funny.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure he still looks upon that day with great admiration, I'm sure.
Oh, I am so sure. Yep. First
I
of all, my dear friend Charles Leclerc, I understand it, but also after today, I'm like, hmm.
Okay, can I, as
Yeah.
like a non-Charles person,
Yep.
can I weigh in on this? Okay.
Yes, please, please, please
I've
do. Because if you don't know, just to context, he has signed an extension of his contract. No one's quite sure how long it's
unnamed number
actually
of
for.
years, I should say.
Yeah, I've heard 2028, I've heard 2030. Like I know it's no one's really sure, but
All
he's
not
re-signed with
great
Ferrari.
options.
Yeah, he's re-signed, he's extended. People are kind of assuming it's maybe just his original contract that he's just not using the exit clause for this year. Um, Various scenarios that could possibly be going on in the Scuderia Ferrari, but Charles is staying with them for the foreseeable.
Okay. My
What are your
opinion.
opinions?
Look, I have not been kind of Ferrari in the past. I am something of a
I don't blame
Ferrari.
you.
I'm something of a Ferrari hater because one of my main gripes with Ferrari and how it treats its drivers, how it treats its strategy, how it treats just the overall brand image is that Ferrari is Ferrari because Ferrari is Ferrari, and they're not. They're bums. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they aren't.
So my main gripe with them is that they rest on their laurels. I mentioned this in the TikTok I made a couple months ago, but they
Mm,
don't necessarily. Well, obviously they have to innovate because of new regulations and stuff,
yeah,
but they haven't like. Well, very clearly, as we're going to discuss, they have not learned from the mistakes of the past.
no,
And and
no, they have
they
not.
blame everybody but themselves. They
Hmm.
blame their drivers, who for the most part are pretty much not to blame for some of the
Yeah,
stuff that happens, for most of the
most of
stuff
the
that
stuff that
happens.
happens is not down to the
Yeah.
drivers.
And I feel like they've just gotten so their heads are so blown up with their ego and their own self-image that
Mm,
that they're not focusing on the sport. They're focusing on their legacy and their pedigree and not on the sport. And unfortunately, our dear close personal friend of the pod, Charles Leclerc, has gotten
yeah.
caught up in the madness, some might say. I did see a tweet that said if I had been prophesied and considered the Messiah
I saw
by
that
the
one.
red
Yep.
team, then I also would go into a sort of psychosis. And at this point,
Yeah.
that's the only reason. Unfortunately, sometimes
Yeah.
prophecies don't always pan out. See Star Wars, the prequel series, for for solid, concrete, real world evidence.
My
Uh,
good friends Anakin Skywalker and Charles Leclerc.
that's crazy.
Yeah, right?
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
again, not a Charles fan. I admire his tenacity and his belief and
Mm.
his delusion. Even
Yep.
I don't know if this was the right choice, especially after this weekend. At least Ferrari pitted under a safety car. I'll give them one props this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, we can
We'll
argue
get onto that.
about we can argue about the veracity of pitting under this
Yeah.
specific safety
Uh-huh.
car and the order
Uh-huh.
they pitted under the safety car. But anyway, Charlotte
I
Leclerc fan, you have the floor.
yeah, I do. I don't know why last year my brain decided that the red team, the Prancing Horse, was going to be the one I rooted for because I have not known true happiness in with a live race at all since getting into the sport. I have not known true happiness with Ferrari. Obviously they've had decent results with podiums, whatever, but yeah, I understand why he stayed. I do. But I'm also kind of like, especially after today, with how they treated him, basically, with how it went, we'll obviously get into it. I'm just like, I don't know what he sees in them specifically. I say this as a Ferrari fan. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
stop rooting for them. I wish I could. I'm going to be so for real. I wish they weren't the team I rooted for. Because God, they keep just annoying me. But yeah, I do still understand the want and the drive to want to do well in red. Because again, like you say, Ferrari are Ferrari because Ferrari is Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like it's the legacy, the history, the aim to be a part of that in such a huge way, especially if he did get the Drivers' Championship, which not looking great right now. But if he did, he would be the first in like 18 years as of
Since
like this
Kimmy in
year.
2007, I believe.
Since Kimmy in 2007 to be like that would be insane. So I truly get. I think if I was in his position, I would do the same thing. Um, which I don't know what that says about me, but don't know what that says about me. But I think if I was in his position, I'd be doing the same thing. So like I do understand it, but I'm also kind of like, Charles, free yourself, please, for the love of God.
To be a Ferrari
Also, home race
driver,
cars is crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking to probably the most qualified people to discuss the
Yeah.
home race
Mm,
curse.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I think that being a Ferrari driver is both a blessing and a curse because
Yeah.
you have this belief that you want to do well in the Corsa Rosso. Like you said, to be a part of that history, to break that kind of wall that has
Mm.
existed since Kimi won with them in 2007.
And then
But
the last champion
also
constructors was 2008. So like it's been 17, 18
very,
years
very long,
for
yeah.
both of them. Like
And there is also so much pressure to wear that fireproof suit that's red. Um because you have the hopes as much as we want to like as much as your opinions are on them, you have the fuck I'm forgetting the name of them. I'm literally the Tifosi. You have the
oh yeah, yeah,
Tifosi.
yeah,
You've
Tifosi.
got again, like we've mentioned before, the pedigree, the history, there will never be, if Ferrari does leave Formula One, there will never be another Ferrari.
No,
Um,
not
but
in the slightest.
I think Ferrari, and again, this is coming from what some would consider a Ferrari hater. Ferrari keeps letting down their drivers at every turn, and
Yep.
somehow their drivers stick with them. Much props to Lewis Hamilton for trying to move to Ferrari, especially nowadays when they've been having these issues for at least the past couple of years, but
No, literally.
uh, I don't know. But also, there's the other part of this, which is what comes up when people say Oscar should leave McLaren. Where would he go? Aston Martin is in shambles. Cadillac still
Yep.
hasn't scored a point.
They almost
McLaren,
did.
yeah, they
Almost got my
almost
finger
did, and
square.
then
But anyway,
Checo got a
yep.
penalty. McLaren has their drivers locked down.
Yep.
Red Bull, once Max Verstappen leaves, that organization is going to crumble.
Yep.
Alpine is just a saw trap. Who else
Yep.
am I missing? Audi can't get one of their cars out of out of yet another saw trap.
Yep.
V carb is V carb.
Yep.
And then I'm missing one other one, but I can Williams is Williams.
Williams is Williams.
I don't have to
Yeah.
say anything else about that. So genuinely, I have no idea where he would go because And again, just speaking from a statistical standpoint, his stats, maybe not the greatest, but
Mm.
also you have to think about the context from it. Some of those non-wins are not his fault. It's
Yep.
where the question is, where is he going to go? And the answer is he can't go anywhere. So he is
Yep.
kind of in this Schrodinger's seat, I believe, where
Yes, that's a great.
he is simultaneously searching. Well, obviously he's not searching elsewhere, but he's greater than the seat that he's been placed in, but he chose the seat
Mm.
that he's been placed in, but he can't go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. And I was listening
He.
actually to P1 with Matt and Tommy where they were talking about his contract re-sign,
Yep.
and there is legitimately nowhere else for him to go. This is the kind of pinnacle of his career. It's the pinnacle
Yep.
of anybody's career to drive for Ferrari, but
Yeah.
there's nowhere, at least in my thinking about the teams, there's no other team that would be able to support him the way that Ferrari does, which is very ironic because Ferrari does not
Yeah,
support
no,
y'all
I know
very well.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
he wouldn't suit the dynamics of it.
no,
That's
he
my
wouldn't.
thing, is he wouldn't
Yeah.
fit in any other team
Yeah.
because he wouldn't play with McLaren. Apparently, I don't know where this is from. Apparently, Mercedes and McLaren did go to him
Hmm.
as offers. Um, but I don't see him working in either one of those teams,
It's kind of like what
like
people have
at
been
all.
saying about, yeah, it's kind of like when what people have been saying about Max. I'm sorry, Max is not gonna
Mm.
conform about papaya rules.
He is Red Bull.
He
Like
is Red Bull.
Max is Red Bull and Charles is Ferrari. Like those are two
Yeah.
drivers on the grid where I cannot see them in any other team. Much to Charles's detriment, obviously much to Max's success.
Yeah.
But those are the only two drivers. And I would have said Lewis prior to like in Mercedes prior to Ferrari, but those are the only
Yeah.
two, and then maybe Lando McLaren, only like two, three drivers that I could see not in any other team because they don't suit any other team. Like they
Yeah.
are almost like lab grown for these specific teams
Exactly.
to drive for them. And that's like been their entire life. Because obviously Charles Jr., Ferrari driver, 1 year out with Sauber, then back in Ferrari.
Yeah. And
Max
remember,
Jr. Red Bull, Racing Bulls, Red Bull.
Sauber was also a Ferrari powered team. So
Yeah, exactly.
technically
So
they were
he's
like a
kind of
junior team.
yeah, never not been with Ferrari, never not been with Red Bull, never not been with McLaren. Like they are all very much prodigy drivers for these teams. So even though Charles would probably do better in another team because of just how they've been handling the cars in the last God knows how many years, 8 years, I guess.
Mm.
I understand why he stays and I understand why he isn't in any other team.
Yeah.
Um, and also speaking of Red Bull, next bit of news before we just start rambling about
This is the
Charles.
craziest
The
bit of BS.
This is insane. The ADUO results have been released by Auto Racer Italy. So I don't know, they haven't been released by Formula One or the FIA, but they are out in the world now. Apparently, Red Bull Racing Ford has the best ICE/engine on the grid.
There's no way.
Which, after today, with Isaac's car like itself, for lack
There's
of a better
no
term,
way.
there is no way that's true. And then apparently, so Mercedes have a 2% allowance, so they get one upgrade for their engine, and then Ferrari, which isn't the shocking bit, has a 4% AGO, so two upgrades,
Mhm.
which everyone kind of expected because
Yeah.
but Red Bull having the best engine and Mercedes getting a 2% allowance.
I need to
What?
know what sort of metrics are they using
I want to
to,
see these scores. Like, I want to
yeah,
see
like what are
how
they
they've
using?
measured this.
Yeah, what are they using to evaluate performance? Are they going off of like race runs? Because out of everything, first of all, okay, Isaac DNFs in Australia.
Yep,
Um
engine goes kaput.
Max has an issue in Australia where he makes love to the wall in Q1 and starts from
Yep.
what, P21, P22.
Hmm.
Um, over, I believe it was China and Japan, he had issues with his engine. Same thing with
Hmm.
Isaac. He, and then now this weekend,
Yep.
he can't even, Max Verstappen can't even get off the line from P2, has to
Yep.
retire without even completing a lap of the race. And
Yep.
Isaac's car is basically on its last legs after about 16 laps. What
Yeah,
metrics are
and
they
the
using?
fact he got on the podium is incredible. Like baby goat, but like I really, really want to see like the stats that they're
Yeah,
using
I need to see a
for
breakdown. I need
this
to see
ADUO
everything. Yeah.
because FYI, I just want to chat. What are you looking at? How are Mercedes not the best engine when they are 10 seconds minimum quicker
Let's
than
talk about
everyone
that. Okay.
every
Okay,
race?
I guess we're kind of jumping the gun and getting to Monaco, but how
Okay, yeah.
is P2 a minute down from the lead? There's no possible way that that engine is not functionally the best.
Yeah,
It,
I really
I
don't
don't
get it.
know. Investigate the engine. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that because Mercedes it powers McLaren. But investigate the
I mean,
teenager.
listen, it's not going well for Lando, so you know what? Investigate the
That
engine.
that is true. I I don't know why. I'm I don't even want to put this out into the universe, but hypothetically, McLaren could pull a Williams and switch Oscar and Lando's cars like they did with Logan Sargent and Alex Albon. I'm not putting that out into the universe, but it's something that I would
No,
not put
because
past the Papaya team.
it was PU issues again. It was
Yeah,
like
it was the
mechanical issues
battery.
again. Isn't it if he changes it again?
He'll get a 10th
If he
place grid
doesn't
car.
use an
Yeah.
old one, which I doubt he will because they've just been dying every race, that he's gonna get a 10 grid penalty, 10 place
Yes.
grid penalty.
Yes.
Which, hey, at least it wasn't in Monaco.
Yeah.
Um, although to be fair, don't know if it would have helped anyway. He probably still would have DNF'd. Um, Bro is having an awful start to his reigning championship year. God, I don't know what's happening with that
I don't
team.
know.
Um,
But back to what we were
Everyone,
saying.
yes. Anyway, back to what we were saying. The ADUO. I'm obviously happy that Ferrari are getting the 4% because that was obvious. With every race,
It
that
was
was
very
obvious.
clear.
Yeah, very, very clear. But I mean, unless Mercedes getting the 2% because all their customer teams aren't doing great and like their engines are kind of bad compared to the works team Mercedes, well, compared to
But
Kimi Antonelli.
also
Um,
that's going to happen because it's just like what happened at the start of the season with McLaren and Mercedes. Mercedes was withholding information on how to
yeah.
accurately like utilize and optimize the engine because they don't want their customer teams to be doing better than
Mm,
them. I mean, think about how it
well,
was
no.
last year. These people, the McLaren was 30, 40, 50 seconds down the road from the Mercedes, and they don't want that to happen, especially in
No.
this kind of shift into the
Not
more hybrid
with
era than
yeah,
that
with
we're in
brand new
right now.
regulations,
Yeah.
they're obviously going to hold stuff back. But I do wonder if the issues that at least McLaren are having, because Alpine seem fine. They're just in their
They do
own
seem
sore trap
fine.
of being Alpine.
Yeah.
Like I mean, jumping the gun again, Pierre Gasly was third when he crossed the
Yeah.
line today. Like Alpine are fine. So I like it is curious that McLaren are having such an awful time, but also it does seem to mostly be Lando. Obviously, Oscar's had his fair share.
Yeah.
Last two races obviously was Lando. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of as to why they're maybe giving Mercedes the 2%, because obviously their customer teams are behind Red Bull and Ferrari.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's baffling to me, frankly. I looked at that like article, and I just laughed. I was like, "What do you mean?"
Again, I need to know exactly how they
Yeah.
determined how this internal combustion engine, this whole power
Yeah.
unit, is the best and not Mercedes. Because I did hear rumblings that the Red Bull Ford powertrain was better than the Ferrari. I mean, even just before that.
Yeah.
But there's no way that the Red Bull Ford powertrain is the best
Better than
performing out of
Mercedes.
everybody. Because remember,
Yeah.
even on pure pace, Max wasn't on the front row until Miami, 2 rounds in,
Mm-mm.
when Max was, what is it? He was P21, all obviously in Australia,
Yeah.
P8 or 9 in
Mm.
China, P7, P6 maybe
They
in
were
Japan.
midfield for
Yeah, they were
most of
midfield
these
until
races.
Miami, which is when
Yeah.
I think Red Bull brought a bunch of upgrades, and then Max was
Yeah.
on the front row. Isaac was also
They
somewhere in
brought
the top
aero
10.
upgrades as
Oh,
well, though, which
that's
would have
true.
helped that. But that's the other thing is I want to know these stats, which they're probably never going to release because they don't anyway, and also that would just be showing other teams everything.
Yeah, how they're doing it.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like there is a possibility that the engine is like, other than the fact that it keeps killing itself, there is that possibility. Obviously, the chassis is just in the mud that we can't really tell. But also, I still do not believe that Mercedes aren't the best engine on the grid
No,
because
there's
they're the
no
only
way.
ones that haven't. I say that Ferrari haven't had reliability issues, but also Ferrari are slow because they went with the
Mhm.
small turbo for starts,
Yeah,
which then got nuked. Anyway,
yeah,
they haven't. Mercedes as a team haven't really had reliability until Canada
yeah.
with George. Obviously, Kimi has had 5 out of 6 poles.
No,
Yeah,
four out of
4 out of 6
six.
poles. 4 out of
Yeah,
6 poles.
for Grand Prix, we
Five
should
out of
also
six.
say.
Yeah, for Grand Prix, and then 5 out of 6 wins.
Mhm.
So clearly, I would just like to say Mercedes engine does not look worse than Red Bull, just based
Absolutely
on
crazy.
pure pace and pure reliability in terms of between the two of them.
Yeah.
So I smell a little bit of bullshit. But again, we're not the FIA. That also might not be true. It was Auto Racer Italy. Don't know where they get their sources from. They seem to be they seem to be a pretty good source. Most of
Yeah.
what they've said has come out to be relatively true. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see who actually gets what upgrades.
This is just a note. I only realized
Yep.
this week. So, this is like, for those of you that don't know, I am collecting McLaren hats.
Mm.
And this is totally random, but I only just realized this weekend because I was looking at behind the scenes content. Um, Puma is both Williams and McLaren sponsors. But McLaren has those stupid Puma hats where Williams is now collaborating with New Era. When last year it was the opposite, even though granted McLaren was Castori and Williams was still Puma, but
Yeah.
what I first of all, I went through the annals, the archives, right? They McLaren had celebrated a 10-year collaboration anniversary with New Era last year. Why would you switch your hat suppliers where you have such a good relationship with them and have such good products with them to have the not very nice Puma hats when Williams, who also has their clothing sponsor or clothing partner as
Yeah.
Puma, can have New Era cat. I don't know. I realized that today or maybe yesterday, and it was pissing me off, and I had to say something.
Yeah. That has made me just realize that Ferrari caps are all Puma.
Yeah.
That's just made me realize that because I know their clothing is because I went to the Puma store in London
Mhm.
and it was just Ferrari with the car, which was fun. But
Mm,
yeah, that's made me realize all Ferrari caps are Puma. That's quite fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I prefer New Era, I think.
I do.
As
I
just
feel
a
like
class
they're
brand.
while I don't love some of the actual like models of the caps, like for example, last year,
Mm,
the standard like team kit cap for McLaren, It's just really weird and boxy. And me personally, it doesn't fit my head very well. It just makes it look like a bobblehead. Um,
Yeah, my
but
Charles cap does make me look kind of square, but
yeah. But for their like standard, whatever, like 920, 970, whatever,
mm,
the caps look a lot better than the Puma. And the Puma
yeah,
this year with McLaren, they just look again really weird and boxy, and the strap is really weird. And they're not doing like fun hats. They're not doing like
yeah,
hats for every city, which is what I liked about McLaren's collaboration with New Era.
yeah.
So I'm sad as a hat collector who probably has way too many hats now. But
Oh, I have way too many. I have like half. I
yeah.
got another one on holiday
Oh my God.
because, which I think might kind of be fake, but
Mm.
it was a Max cap. Actually, it was on my door. It was this one,
Oh, I like
which is also
that.
Puma. But it's got the number one on it for our listeners, and it's got the red bull.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know how. See, the thing is, though, is if it is a fake, they've gone to a lot of lengths to make it look real because it has all the Max Verstappen on the inside and the Red Bull tag.
Oh,
So
I
I'm like,
see.
I don't know. It was from a random shop in Benidorm, so the likelihood of it being fake is very high. Um, but I'll take it. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I have way too many caps.
There's something about becoming a Formula One fan that makes you
Yeah,
buy so many
yeah.
hats. I have never been a hat girly before in my life since
Nope.
before getting into Formula One. Now
Yep.
I cannot stop buying hats.
I was the exact same, and then I bought like three Ferrari caps in a weekend from like
I would
Vinted, I
not like,
think.
yeah, I would not like to disclose the amount of caps I bought in the past 3 months. So that will stay
Mm-mm.
a secret with me.
Yeah.
We have
Yep.
got to lock in and talk about racing because
Oh
there has
God.
been so much. So,
So much happened in the last like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I would like to do a little
Ridiculous.
aside for the Indy
Hmm.
500.
Yep.
What a race. I watched the entire thing, sometimes simultaneously with the start of Canada. I just want to take you through that. Okay.
Yep.
10:30 the broadcast starts where it's like lead up whatever they do driver intros. They have really nice spots. Like Fox has made some really nice spots for the Indy 500. Um and they have like the pace lap with the Corvette out in front and then the Blackhawk helicopters like following them around. It's like America, rah! Like I do feel patriotic when watching the start of Indy 500.
Yep.
Pace car goes in. Alex Palou and Alex Rossi, who was fighting like surgery on his ankle and his hand, by the way. Alex Palou and
What?
Alex Rossi are swapping the lead back and forth for a bunch of laps. So for the listeners who don't know, the Indy 500 is about 200 laps because the oval, the IMS Indianapolis Motor Speedway is about 2.5 miles long. So 2.5 miles, 200 laps is 500 miles, I believe. Yes, thank
Hmm.
you to my math. So
Yes.
usually about 100 laps, up until 100 laps, really not a lot happens. Um, I don't know exactly like lap numbers, but Ryan Hunter-Reay makes love to the wall, takes out Catherine Legg, dashes her Indy 500 Coke 600 double header hopes, which is very sad. Um, yeah, that's what happened. I think it was lap
Oh.
31, 32, so it was pretty early on, which is very sad.
Mm.
And then she also had issues in the Coke 600, and she finished like 17 laps down. But it was not, both of those were not due
Oof.
to her driving. They were just
Yeah.
victims of chance and sports, because that is what happens in
Yep.
sports. Um,
Yep.
and then there's who was it? It's lap 100, maybe like a couple laps after lap 100. Joseph Newgarden, um, again, crashes into the wall, um, brings out the caution flag. They line up behind the pace car again. And what I was not aware of was that IndyCar does not have wet weather tires. They only have, yeah, they only have like their hards and then the alternates, which are kind of like the softs. So they
Oh.
had to red flag the race, I think with 50, 50 something laps to go. So
Oof.
around lap 150, it starts to get crazy. Like everybody knows that's like kind of like the marker time where things really start to pick up.
Yeah.
Um, so around lap 150, the red flag goes out, but the rain passes them by. Scott
Mm-hmm.
Dixon, who has only won one Indy 500 in his entire like almost 20-year career, is in front. And based on the decision of the marshals, they could call the race right there because I think after 100 laps of the race result is like verified and there's been enough
Right.
racing to let it happen. That obviously
Mm-hmm.
did not happen. So the race resumes. Um then I think I don't think oh, Alex Rossi caught on fire again. Two Indy 500s in a
Well,
row. Yeah, it's just a
oh,
thing that
right.
happens with Alex Rossi apparently because
Yeah.
he caught on fire the next weekend too. So I think there's like one more caution, but then rookie Kyle Collette, who was I think he was it Oscar? I think he was Oscar's roommate slash teammate in Prema in the feeder
Oh,
series.
okay.
Don't quote me on that. I think
Right,
it is,
yeah.
but I'm not 100% sure. He unfortunately, he was doing really well. He was the highest running rookie. So what happened with Kyle Collette? There's like a lot of storylines going on here, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Kyle Collette, I think he had qualified like 12th or something in his very first Indy 500. So he was doing like super well, but he was disqualified from qualifying because after they did the scrutineering after qualifying, they had found like I don't remember what happened exactly with him, but one of his pieces was not like it wasn't right because in IndyCar there's certain pieces that you can like adapt like your front wing and then certain pieces that you can't touch. So I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
what happened, but long story short, he gets pushed to the back of the grid. So he had
Mm-hmm.
like genuinely raced his way up to he was leading a couple of laps as a rookie in his first Indy
Oh,
500.
no way.
So he was doing really well. And then there were pit
Yeah.
stops and whatever, so unfortunately he was not leading the race. But he was still like pretty high
Mm-hmm.
up in the order. And unfortunately, rookie mistake, he hits the wall. His car is a fireball. Like I swear to God, going down the straight on fire, like half of the side pod is gone. It's really, really,
Oh my
really bad.
God.
So they red flagged the race. And at this point, it's maybe like 330, 340, and I'm like, no way. There's no way that Canada is going to start while the Indy 500 is happening. There's no freaking way. So eventually, the red flag goes because they also have to repair the barriers. It's kind of like the same thing in Formula One.
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
clock is ticking, and then I had the Indy 500 on my laptop and Canada on my iPad. I had been
Mm-hmm.
watching the stream the entire morning on my laptop. So my laptop was on like 8% when the red flag came
Yeah.
out. And by the time the red flag came out, there was only like 7 or 8 laps left. 7 or 8 laps left in the Indy 500.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have my Canada stream on F1 TV, and they're
Yeah.
starting to do like the grid performance, the anthem, whatever.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. I am like sitting there because also someone had leaked that someone at the Grand Prix had leaked that the McLarens were on inters and they were the only people besides like Audi and Aston Martin that were on inters. Everybody else was on mediums or softs. So I was like, okay, great. This is awesome. So the red flag keeps going in the Indy 500, and I'm like watching these two simultaneously. Like my eyes are going back and forth from screen to screen,
You're like
making
the
sure I'm not.
SpongeBob meme.
Literally, I am trying not to
Yeah.
miss anything because the track was still wet. Granted to McLaren, it was raining like half an hour before the race,
Yeah.
but it dried out and they looked
Mm.
stupid. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'm like going back and forth trying to like make sure that I'm not missing anything in either race. And then formation lap on Canada happens. They
Yep.
call the starting procedure for the Indy 500.
Oh
So it is going
God.
to be an 8 lap shootout after, because the pace car I think does 2 or 3 laps on the pace car does 2 or 3 laps and then it goes in and then it's like full green, full racing again for the Indy 500. So
Right.
first formation lap happens. They call the red flag over, and then everyone starts lining up at the pit lane to come out again. Then Arvid has his issue. Another formation lap
Mm,
comes. The Indy 500, they all come out of the pit lane, line up behind the pace car, and they're doing pace laps. And then
yep.
they roll Arvid out, or I forget what happened. There was someone else that wasn't out of line, so they call a third formation lap, and then it goes green again with like 5 laps left of racing. And I think there was also a caution thrown with 3 laps left to go, which means it's basically like yellow flag. So
Yeah.
there's the Canada start happening, like 5 lights going out with caution going away and green lights happening with 2 or 3 laps left of the Indy 500. So I am like, I swear to God, I was literally about to pass out. My heart felt like it was going to beat out of my chest.
Yeah.
So when the caution went away and the restart happened, David Malukas, I think it was Marcus Armstrong, Felix Rosenquist, and Pato O'Ward were all in like the top mix. I know for a fact that David was leading.
Hmm.
So start happens. George and Kimmy are fighting on one screen. The other screen, David Malukas and Felix Rosenquist are fighting for the lead with literally like 4 corners left to go. So again, George and Kimmy are fighting, and then it gets to the last lap. And IMS is notorious for last lap overtakes. Like the Indy 500, that
Uh-huh.
happens a lot. It happened in 2024 when Pato lost. But seeing it happen firsthand was crazy because it also has a lot to do with momentum as well.
Right.
Oval racing is actually pretty fun, I've learned.
Hmm.
But anyways, so George and Kimmy are fighting. It's like the last 2 corners of the Indy 500.
Uh-huh.
My stream gets to the point where Felix Rosenquist overtakes David Malukas at corner 2. There's 2 corners left to go. My laptop dies. So I am
No.
2 corners left in the Indy 500. My laptop dies. So I literally
Oh.
scream. I scream. My dad is like sitting next to me. He's also watching soccer because he's an Arsenal fan. So there's also that happening on the big
My
TV.
God.
So I'm like, no. And then I immediately text like, who won? And it was Felix Rosenquist. And then Kimmy and George are fighting, and then George DNFs. So long story short, I had a terrible week that week.
Oh my God, I can
But
imagine. Jesus Christ.
those like 5-10 minutes when George and Kimmy were fighting, it's the 8 lap shootout of the Indy
Yeah.
500 was happening simultaneously, screen by screen, side by side, were genuinely some of the most stressful minutes of my entire 23, almost 24 years of life. I cannot
Oh,
describe to you
wow.
how I felt.
That is intense. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is like already without any like alterations or extensions or anything like from red flags, whatever.
Mm.
The Indy 500 is already like a 3.5 hour long race. That race happened for, I think, almost 4 hours because
Whoa.
of how long it went over. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed the start of the Canadian Grand Prix because I was in London with my stepmom. We went to go see Megan Hilty in concert, which was phenomenal. I cried. But so we were on the way back. The show like finished at 9. Obviously, the race started at 9. So I was just watching, I was looking at the live timings and Twitter and whatever on my phone. So I was like, I don't mind getting these notifications. I'll watch it later. Because I was going to watch it instead of sleeping before I went to the airport. Because it was like, I got home at 11 and I flew at like 6 a.m. Was not sleeping. And then like people kept being like, this is insane. And I kept seeing of like what's happening. So I turned it on. And I watched it on the train home. Used up basically all of my data, but that's beside the point. So yeah, I missed the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. And I actually still haven't seen it. I've seen clips of it, but I'd never went back to watch the rest of it.
It's not worth it.
Um, yeah, but I started from like lap 25, I think was my first lap or something. So I watched like all the DNFs and everything.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad I turned it on because that was
Bananas
insane.
bonkers.
It was wild. So much happened. So many people DNF'd. Six, well, five people DNF'd and then Alva didn't start. So six
Yeah.
out of the race. And then, oh my God. Yeah. Max podium. Also,
His
what?
first one.
Where did he come from? I was watching it and I was like, where are you?
I
Where
know
did
where
this
he
come
came
from?
from. He came from the Papaya team being absolutely fucking
Well,
useless.
yeah, there is that. I did watch that absolutely.
Unbelievable. Don't even get me started. That is like Qatar. You are 3 and 4 on the grid. Why are you starting on Inters when nobody else is besides Audi and like P12?
I did see someone post the two images of them on the only two on Inters on like the first five, and then them as the only two who didn't pit in Qatar. I was
Yeah,
like, this is the most diabolical comparison ever.
same picture, different fonts, right?
Yeah.
At least they learned how to pit during safety cars now this weekend. Um,
Yeah, there's that.
at least they learned
Yeah.
from that mistake.
They did
But
learn from that mistake. Now they just need to
yes.
learn to not use Inters on a dry track.
One last thing on the Indy 500 before we fully segue to Canada.
Yes, yes, of course.
Congratulations to Felix Rosenqvist. It was a race well raced. Why couldn't you have picked another livery so I don't have to see Morgan Wallen in the freaking Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum? Crazy, by the way. Um, and I feel so bad for David Malukas, but it's
Mm,
coming. Trust me, it is coming next year, question mark, knock on wood. I don't want to invoke
maybe.
the magic of the speedway. I really hope so. He still has not gotten his first win. I hope
Oh,
it's
damn.
soon because
Yeah.
he has been so incredible in the Penske, in the number 12 Penske this year, that it's just so impressive, and he had some big shoes to fill. So
Hmm.
again, for context, Will Power leaving Penske was like Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes for Ferrari, because Will Power
Wow.
had been with Penske for most of, if not all of his career. And he had
Hmm.
done really well. He had won, I think, a championship or two. I don't remember exactly, but he had like won championships with them. He has not won the Indy 500, but he did win a championship with them at least.
Right.
Again, I don't know if he's won one or two, but when it was announced that he was leaving Penske, Indy I wasn't even like super into IndyCar, and I'm not really super into IndyCar now. I'm a little bit more into it than I was before, but not like super invested. Like I don't watch every single race, especially if it's on a crazy weekend like this.
Hmm.
Him leaving Penske again was like Lewis Hamilton leaving to Ferrari from Mercedes. And when it was announced
Yeah.
that David Malukas, who has had like a pretty solid career in some of the lower like standing teams, but when it was announced that he was taking over the number 12 Horizon Penske, it shocked the IndyCar community. And he has really been like, he's been consistently outscoring some of his like super veteran teammates, Joseph Newgarden and Scotty
Hmm.
Mack, who I love dearly. But he has
Hmm.
just been so impressive all year. And the couple of races I've watched, in the highlights I've watched, we're not counting Detroit, that doesn't count. But he has been so impressive, and next year is going to be his year. I fully believe that. But
Hmm.
anyway, fully segueing from the Indy 500, which again was just absolutely incredible.
Yep.
One last thing I want to say on that actually is that I don't know if you saw the picture of P3, 4, and 5 going over the line, literally like maybe that much away from each other in terms of like how far they were from each other. So it was Scotty Mack, Pato, and Marcus Armstrong, literally like maybe that far apart from each other.
Wow.
It was crazy. If
Yeah.
for the listeners, if you have not seen the picture, I highly recommend it. But what an Indy
Hmm.
500, and then Canada happened. So
And
fully
then Canada
segueing into Canada,
happens.
and then Canada
Yeah.
happened partly at the same time, which was a lot for my heart. Um,
Yeah, I can imagine.
I remember it was
I
like lap 1 75 or so, and someone had posted that graphic of the McLarens on inters, and I was like, they're not about to play in my face right now. They're not about to play in my face right now while they're doing whatever they're doing with Pato at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God. Yeah, I people kept making jokes afterwards because Arvid, I don't remember if I think it was before I don't remember when this interview happened because I'm pretty sure it might have been before Canada. Um, but he was saying if it's dry, we use dry slicks, and if it's wet, we use
Yep.
like wet tires. And everyone kept making jokes about the McLaren strategy team being like, "You joke, but they might have actually needed to hear this."
Yeah.
And I was like,
What?
"Oh wow,
What the
yeah,
hell were you thinking? Oh my God. You were P3 and 4 on the grid, or put P4 and 5. I don't remember, but they were like up
mm,
in
mm,
contention for at least the
yeah."
podium, if not the win.
What didn't Lando like
Lando led.
overtake? Yeah,
Lando
Lando
led
led, and then they
at the
pitted him,
start.
and then he was like ninth
Yeah.
or something.
It was
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous, and one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. Granted, I've only been watching Formula One for a year, but in
Yep.
that year, I've seen some stupid decisions. I'm looking at you, Qatar
Mm,
2025. That
yep.
was genuinely one of the stupidest things I've ever seen come out of sports. Ever.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe like I saw the pictures obviously people like had posted because everyone was just like this is stupid, this is ridiculous. And I was like this cannot be real. Like there is no way that the current champions decided that using
It's
inters on a like 90% dry
you
track
can't
was a good idea.
like you
With Canada as well, like it does not stay wet.
you are not serious people. Not to quote
Yeah.
Succession, but you are not serious people. Your strategists are not serious people.
It was I did make jokes that it was like a Ferrari level
No, it
strategy
was
call. Like,
it was an incredibly like rookie blunder from
mm,
back-to-back constructors champions.
yeah.
What are you guys doing?
It was
It was
baffling.
unbelievable. Like I have been played in my people have played in my face before, but not that blatantly because at least in Qatar you could just say they were being stupid in the moment and weren't thinking.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But obviously this is like a pre-race strategy call,
Yes,
what
this is like
tires you put on the starts.
you are seeing other people. Everyone else is on mediums, and
Yep.
you are P3 and 4, the
Yep.
only people besides like P12 and
Yep.
P17 on inters. You can't use your eyeballs and maybe think, should we reconsider our tire choice? No, because apparently you're McLaren and you don't think like that.
And then they pit and they're like out of the points level pits. And it was just
Unbelievable.
insane. And then Oscar's contact with Alex, which
He got the penalty. Look,
he
I
did get
also
the
have to
penalty.
I have to say something about that penalty. It
Yep.
was not intentional. He was not going for the overtake. If you watch the slowed down onboard, he locks up and smashes into the side of Alex's side pod. He has apologized. It was not
Yeah.
intentional.
Oh, they're
I
like
have
they
seen,
aren't like mad at
no,
each other. Alex
I
was
have
making
seen
jokes,
I have
but
seen Alex Albon fans of all people going after Oscar for that. Let's set the road clear. Like they have both admitted that it
yeah,
was not
neither of
intentional.
them were mad at the other one. Fans were just mad at other fans. Basically. Yeah, that things just kept happening in that race. And I was so sure, I am so sure, I'm still sure about this. If George's car hadn't crapped the bed and stopped on track, he and Kimmy would have come together
Oh,
at some point in the race.
absolutely.
They would have had a double
Absolutely.
DNF.
He,
Um,
Kimmy, this weekend in Monaco is so goddamn lucky. Or not Oscar. I wore flashbacks to 2025. He is so lucky that George Russell was not behind him on the grid. He
yeah,
would have immediately shunted him into the wall.
yeah,
Turn one.
yeah,
100%. I fully believe that.
yeah. No, he was very, very lucky that it was not George behind him. Um, George is just going through the horrors lately. He has
What?
not had a good weekend. Do we
What?
want to just go into Monaco? Because
Yeah, we
there is a
beat
lot to talk
Barcelona to
about.
death. I feel like
Yeah.
in Canada, I cannot believe, like, when I saw that George had gone over the grass and had cut. When I saw he had gone over the grass, I immediately knew something was wrong. I was like,
Mm.
he's not one of those type of people to do that, unless you're Alex Albon last year at Monaco. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
He's not one of those people to like cut, and he was like fully at the apex too, but he cut
Mm.
across it. And when he came to a stop, I swear to God, I was yelling so much my dad was getting mad at me. It was so bad. And
Yep.
we also have to talk about Kimmy's season so far. Look,
Hmm.
in Japan, no, not, yes, Japan, he was the better driver.
Yeah.
China, no. It was Japan. I'm mixing them up. China,
China was second, Japan was third, yeah.
he fully was the better driver. He was
Yeah.
just more on, I think did he qualify above George? I don't remember.
China or Japan?
China.
China.
No,
Give
he
me
was
two
because he was
seconds.
on pole for China. He was also on
Yeah.
pole for Japan.
He was on
But
pole for everything since except Australia and Canada.
yes. So he was just the better driver in China, in my opinion. Even if
Yeah.
he almost lost his very first win at the last corner, that was crazy. Um,
Yeah, that was
Japan, he got so lucky with that safety car because I fully
yeah.
believe Oscar would have been able to win that race.
Yeah.
He is a very good defender as well as a very good overtaker. Like, it's been very established in the grid agrees.
Hmm.
Miami, he I don't know how to feel about Miami because McLaren somehow altered their car from sprint
Yeah, Miami
qualifying
went weird.
to the race, and then all of a sudden Lando was like what was he? P like 5 or 6? He was
Yeah.
it was because it was him, Max, then either Charles, and then Lewis, somebody,
Yeah.
and then it was McLaren somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was like he was he was again the better driver in Miami. But also
Mm.
George's car was messed up because they forgot to change the engine mode.
Yeah, Kimi has had good races, and he has had races where he has gotten incredibly lucky.
Extremely lucky. Canada, he was extremely lucky that George DNF because George would have put him in the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got what, 5 years less experience than George.
Yeah.
He is just not as experienced in wheel to wheel as George is. And he was getting mad that George wasn't like moving over and letting him pass, which why would he
Yeah.
do that? This is a McLaren. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he was so incredibly lucky that George was not on the front row this weekend. And Monaco has never been George's track. Like last year, he qualified what, P4, P5, maybe P6. Not 100%
I
sure.
don't remember.
Like, he has just not gone well around here, even when the McLaren, or not the McLaren. Again, 2025 flashbacks. Even when the Mercedes was not like as developed to the point where it is today.
Yeah.
Kimi, what the hell is going on the streets of Monaco where P2 is a minute behind P1? There's
no
no
idea.
way. There's no what?
I have no idea.
What is happening? What is going on here on this day?
Yeah, it was a ridiculous race today. Like,
I was fully expecting, like, I was telling my mom, I need an extra shot of espresso because laps like, what? 1 through, well, not 1 because Max not even getting off the line was pretty crazy. Laps like 2 through 16, I was basically falling asleep. And then something happened like around lap 16. Oh, it was Isaac. Isaac engine
was dying slowly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Oscar was on his ass. Like,
my God, no.
It was crazy. I thought they were going to crash at some point. They were super close together. But
Isaac's defense against both George and Oscar at Monaco today was genuinely incredible. With a dying car that I'm surprised even made it to the end. I was convinced that if he did a pit stop, he wouldn't start the car again. Yeah. He did, because he finished the race, and got a maiden podium with Red Bull. But his defense was very, 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 very good
Yes.
today
However, I would
against.
also like to say that this is Monaco, and overtaking is not very good.
It
But
is.
that's just me. That's just me being
However,
bitter, low key.
Arvid Lindblad would like to have a
That was
conversation, would like to
crazy.
have a word, because that was a genuine overtake.
Yes, that was a genuine overtake in his rookie year in Formula One on the streets of Monaco.
Yeah,
That's a baby goat. Like, that
that
is
is a
a
baby goat.
baby goat.
P15 to P6, career
Hello.
best result, double VCARB points. Like,
In the top six, mind
in the
you.
top six, both of them. Liam finished fifth, also career best finish. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hello? Insane race.
Yeah.
And then I also would like to think, obviously we will never know, but I would like to think that had Charles not kissed the wall in qualifying, that he was
Oh,
ever
he was
so
on track
slightly
for pole.
faster. He was on track for pole.
Yeah.
Kimi got very lucky that Charles
Again,
lost it.
what
Again,
kind of Etsy witch did Kimi Antonelli pay off? What is happening?
the home race curse. That's what happened today and
That's true.
yesterday. Home race curse.
Yeah.
It's back in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was an insane race. I came into the race today being like, okay, it's probably gonna end how it starts
Yeah.
because it's Monaco. Nothing really happened. Like I expected a red, like I expected a safety car, at least one, because of just how the weekend had been going with Isaac crashing, Gabby crashing, the car setting on fire, like the Cadillac setting on fire. Like I was
Yeah.
expecting at least one safety car. We got two in a red flag, so you know,
In Monaco. Well, Monaco
yeah,
red flag isn't like too bad. But
no,
two
that's
of
like
them.
noted because obviously it's Monaco. They kind of
Yeah.
need to usually red flag's not surprising,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was Max. I will admit, as much as I love Max, hence the new cap. As much as I love Max, I did cheer mostly because Charles went past him, and that was all that I saw because I was watching his onboard mostly for the start. Charles went past him. I didn't realize that he had stalled that badly. Um, I will say, seeing the down 20 did make me giggle. Um,
Yeah.
but also very, very unfortunate race for Max. And the car just died, just didn't work.
Yeah.
Engine again didn't work. Um, yeah, the Red Bulls have not been great today. See, the thing is like you see Isaac on the podium, and you're like, oh, okay, easy race. Well, considering the fact, where did he start?
P4?
He was fifth. He was
Oh.
P5. He started P5, and obviously Max started second. But so you see that, and you're like, oh, okay, a couple people in front of him crashed, whatever. Pit stops, undercut. You see the race result and you think easy race. The fact that that Red Bull was trying to just DNF itself, I was expecting
It was
a double
begging.
DNF from Red Bull today.
Yeah.
Like I was fully expecting a double DNF from Red Bull, and then Isaac manages to bring it home in P3, which is just huge. Um, and also great for his career with Red Bull
Yeah.
as of right now because he has outperformed Max quite significantly today.
Wait, is he over Max in the championship standings? That would be so funny. I'm looking right now on the
Oh,
F1 app.
no, he's not. Max is on
Oh,
43 and Isaac's on 29, but it's not that far behind.
it's definitely a
Like,
lot less far behind than people have been in the past few years.
exactly. Speaking of driver standings, Lewis P2, my goat. I mean,
It's
it
he's
hurts because he
getting
has taken over Charles. However, I will
yes.
take it.
He's also taken over George in the standings
He has
because
also
Lewis
taken over
is
George.
P2 in the standings.
Yeah, it's
Even if
insane.
he's like 70 points behind Kimmy. But he's P2 in
66.
the
But
standings.
yeah,
66.
he's P2. Um, yeah, I will take it because at least one Ferrari driver is in second right now. And obviously Ferrari is still second. But
Yeah.
yeah, everyone just decided the car was not worth driving today. Um, Max is obviously failed start, didn't even get one lap in. Um, Ollie hit Esteban on the first
Mm-hmm.
lap and had front wing damage, and then they pitted, and then he was plumb last, and then they retired the car to call it, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, would have been curious to see where he ended up had they not done that, because Esteban did come ninth after
Yeah,
starting like 13th or something. Like
pretty far back.
yeah, he wasn't. Neither of them qualified particularly well. Actually, no, they weren't they next
Oh,
to each
Ollie
other?
was
Ollie was
P16.
P19.
P19?
Ollie was P19, yeah, because he had a really, really bad luck with the red flag in
Oh,
Q1. Yeah, he had terrible luck with when Gabby hit the wall. And then Esteban Ocon was P17, and then he ended up ninth. So it's kind
mm,
of a like I would have been so curious to see where he ended up had they not retired the car just for the sake of because they were so far behind. There was basically no point in running and like damaging the car more just with the heat.
mm-hmm.
Valtteri Bottas, what happened with his car?
I think it was just Cadillac being
Think it was
Cadillac.
just Cadillac being Cadillac? Yeah, all
Yeah.
right. Lando,
Again, we've spoken about it before.
again, yeah, it was
Yeah.
just not great for
Unfortunate,
him.
really.
Very. And then Lance Stroll hit the barriers.
Yeah.
At T turn 10, was it?
It was like the second to last turn or something. It was
Yeah,
pretty late.
it was a later turn because the tarmac had been
Yeah, it just decided to like
going.
puff pastry crumble.
Yeah, it was recently resurfaced and obviously
I
was not
saw
prepared for
I
the
saw a
high
comparison.
temperatures of Formula
Yeah.
One. It
I
looked
saw
like an English country road, and I'm so serious about that. The
yeah.
Silverstone circuit admin on Twitter made a joke about that, and I did find it very, very funny. They were like, English drivers will be so used to this because this is literally just what our roads look like. Um, I'm pretty sure that's why Stroll crashed because I think
Yeah.
it messed with it just locked his um
I
front tires
saw
up.
a comparison of a picture of that specific turn and that piece of tarmac
Yeah,
at the beginning of the race and when Lance Stroll crashed. It was like you could see it was kind of like dimpling. And this is like lap one. I think it was an onboard from Charles, and then there was an onboard from Lance Stroll. It
yeah,
was, I swear to God, it at least tripled in size. That
yeah,
original hole that was there, it was crazy.
yeah. It did not mix well with the temperatures of Formula One, is all
Yeah.
I think happened. And then, unfortunately, I think Charles hit that same patch of tarmac.
Yeah.
He is very, very, very adamant that the brakes just gave out at that specific point in time. Um, I think hitting that bit of tarmac and the brakes going and just losing the car was
Hmm.
why he ended up in the wall. He, for once, has not blamed himself, and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
Because it truly was not his fault.
No. That
To the point that the brakes company have come out with a statement about it because they were like, we don't know why the driver is reacting like this. We don't know why the brakes are like what's happening. Like it got to that point because obviously this entire weekend and for Canada, which sorry, side rant about Ferrari, why have we not fixed a brakes issue that was 2 weeks ago? He had brakes issues in Canada. He had the same brakes issues, I'm going to assume because he said they were no different in Monaco to the point where he's now being like, I'm just going to use Lewis's setup. Whether it works for me is irrelevant. I just need consistency, which is bonkers because, like, you'd think they would try and fix it in the 2 weeks that, we had between Canada and Monaco.
hmm.
Well, week and a half. But yeah, and then after the so Lance Stroll's crash caused a safety car.
Yes.
Insane. And then it was on the restart when Charles hit the wall, which then caused another safety car, which then caused a red flag because they brought out the street cleaner to sweep away the
Like
debris.
legitimately a municipal street cleaner that goes by my street every
Yes,
Tuesday.
literally just to sweep away the debris from the tarmac. Obviously, they, like couldn't fix the tarmac because that takes time. So obviously
Yeah.
that was the only thing they could do. It was very funny when it just cut to the street cleaner though with the little brushes just
Yes.
sweeping it up. That did make me giggle. Small silver lining in terms of horrible end to the race a for Charles Leclerc fans. And then they red flagged the race, obviously, to do that. And then on that red flag restart, it was a standing start. I was so hoping that Lewis would overtake Kimi, get a better
Me
start, and then just take
too.
it home. I do like Kimi, and I do love that we are witnessing history with him continuously breaking records and making records.
But it gets to a
Um,
point.
but it gets to a point, and I also would love to see Ferrari on the top step, obviously. But yeah, it gets to a point. Someone please beat this Italian teenager. Much love, Kimi. And then on the restart, new standing start, that first lap of like 8, I think we got to. Nico Hulkenberg goes into the side of Carlos Sainz on the hairpin, kind of ruins that race. And then, like 2 corners later, Franco Colapinto hits Carlos Sainz wheel, spins him around completely, and then Carlos has to DNF.
It was almost like it was almost like Mexico City last year. If you remember
Mm,
when I think it was who was it? I think it may have been Franco and Carlos again. But they like I think they made contact. Carlos spun around, caused a VSC, and then he had to like drive into a runoff so that
yeah,
the marshals could recover his car. It was basically the same thing that happened.
yeah. They
It
were
was kind of weird.
They were very lucky that Carlos was basically facing a runoff road
Yeah.
because he just had to drive forwards. Um, so that then meant Carlos also DNF'd. So we got onto like
7.
7, yep, 7 DNFs in Monaco when it was supposed to be a boring race. And obviously hometown hero DNFs. That I yelled no very loudly when that happened. Not gonna lie to you. And then Kimi again in like the 8 laps was about 6 seconds. He ended up 6 seconds down the road from Lewis, which on 8 laps in Monaco is crazy. Everyone bar the top 4, like obviously prior to the red flag restart,
Yeah.
and the safety car when obviously
They
everyone
were a lap
unlaps
down
themselves, they
at
were
the
all a
very
lap
least.
down except for the top 4.
Yeah.
Um,
And even then, from first to second place, it was a minute,
yeah,
which is basically a lap.
yeah, basically. Um, the lapping started on like lap 12 because of Ollie's pit, which I
Yeah.
felt so terrible for Ollie for like my drivers not had a good weekend. This was not a good weekend. Oh my God. Yeah. What were your opinions of Monaco?
Okay. I'm biased because remember, I'm OP 8-1 down.
Yep.
Let's get that out of the way. I do find it extremely funny that Lando got such a terrible start that he
Hmm.
was overtaken by Pierre Gasly on merit. I find that
Hmm.
incredibly funny. Now, was I wishing a DNF on him? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Again, however, I find it incredibly funny that 2 times constructors champions back to back in the most recent 2 years was not able to get their car working for whatever reason, so
Mm.
that their world champion from last year DNF'd 2 consecutive weekends in a row.
Yep.
I say funny as in like the cosmic funny way, as in you have to laugh, otherwise I don't know what you're gonna do with yourself. And it was like lap 20 something. And I was like, I got 50 more laps of this to go. I'm
Yep.
about to fall asleep. Thankfully, I did not fall asleep.
No, that would have
But
been crazy to wake up to.
yeah, but Isaac and Oscar were going at it like
Yeah.
pretty hard. There were some points at the stopping points, especially at the chicanes, the corners, where I thought Oscar was gonna go into the back of Isaac.
Mm.
Like they were fighting hard and they were fighting close. But when the first safety car came out after Lance Stroll, how did that safety car like lapping work? Because they're all supposed to go behind the safety car, but also there were like lapped cars, and then there were lapped cars that were gonna overtake, but they didn't like get the order right. So I don't know how like the start order would have resumed.
I don't know
And
what
then
happened with that. I have just remembered the absolute disaster class of a Ferrari pit stop. However,
Oh,
because
right,
oh
right.
my God.
Let's discuss. Let's discuss. Because
Oh
also,
my
wait,
God.
we haven't even talked about this. The amount of speeding in the pit lane
Oh my God,
penalties,
yes.
11 different penalties. I
Did
think it was
everyone like forget the speed limit in the
here's what
pit
I think
lane or
happened.
something?
Here's what I think happened. I've heard rumblings of a bunch of different things.
Hmm.
One was that one of the sensors was wrong or that it was
Right.
faulty because every single person that got a speeding in the pit lane penalty said they had their finger on the pit limiter. Like,
They were all like point 0.1 over as well.
yeah, it
Except for
was
the
like,
second one for Gasly, he was like point 0.4.
yeah. But they were all like within, like you said, point 0.1, finger on the pit limiter. Like, they were making sure that they were not speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Another thing that I heard was that they had used a different pit entry sensor point than they did in qualifying in FP3. So I don't remember if it
Oh,
was further back or if it was closer, but they had moved the sensor point to where it wasn't in qualifying or FP3,
right.
which again, I don't know if the drivers were informed about this. I'm not in the driver meetings before Grand
It
Prix,
was, yeah,
obviously,
obviously.
but
Yeah.
something had changed in the setup of the pit sensor, whether it was the
Hmm.
sensor itself or the placement that led to so many drivers getting
Hmm.
penalties.
Yeah.
Now, we can discuss the veracity of those penalties because in my opinion, if I were the FIA and I realized that my pit sensor is out of place or that the drivers weren't exactly informed, which maybe they were, I don't know. Again, I wasn't in the driver meeting. Um, but if I found that my placement of the sensor was faulty or anything like that, we would have to have an investigation because there were maybe 8 or 9 different drivers that got speeding in the pit lane penalties.
Yep.
Usually, you would get like one, maybe two of those in a weekend. Having
Yeah, there was
eight,
6 at one time that
having
had been
eight
given.
different drivers,
Yeah.
11 penalties for speeding in the
Yep.
pit lane in Monaco, where you didn't even have overtake detection. You didn't have the extra boost, whatever, when you were within
They did.
what is it, a second?
They did.
No, but they didn't have the active arrow. That's the thing. They
Oh,
didn't
they
have
didn't have
active
active arrow, but
arrow.
they had boost. Yeah.
Yes. To have that in a place where you don't have that extra added benefit of the active arrow, something has to be wrong. Like
Yeah,
this is
I
this is a
it
concept in data science where 1 or 2 are fine, but once you get 3, 4, like something has to be wrong.
yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know what
It's the other
happened.
question though of like the rest of them didn't get one. So it's kind of like how did this
Yeah,
keep happening? But it also still wasn't everyone. Like it wasn't even a majority. It was
it was so bizarre, and
it was really bizarre.
even Alex Jakes and the other guy whose name I'm forgetting right now were like,
Hmm.
this is, I have never seen anything like this on a
I think
Formula One weekend.
Crofty and Brundle were saying the same thing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
absolutely bizarre, out of this world. Like, what was happening? But
Yeah.
on that note, after everybody finished, after the second red flag restart, or the second safety car restart, the standing start, Pierre Gasly was P3. And
Yep.
Alpine did not tell him that he had not
No.
one, but 2 speeding in the pit lane penalties that would have dropped him to P7 from P3. Podium
Yep.
at the Monaco Grand Prix. They only told him he had a 10-second penalty after he crossed the finish line.
Did you see the video of him
Yes.
celebrating and then his engineer going, no, wait. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm not the biggest fan of Pierre Gasly, but that has got
No.
a sting.
How are you gonna make me feel bad about Pierre Gasly?
Literally. But
Alpine is just such a dastardly,
I don't like
insidious,
Alpine.
terrible team. But what are you guys doing?
I
I'm
don't know.
sorry. What
Going
are we
off of
doing?
the
What's going on?
yeah, it's crazy. Going off of the not telling people about penalties, Ferrari. Ferrari. They first of all did not tell Charles that Lewis had a 5-second penalty. So he was
They
continuously
double
pushing.
stacked, yeah.
He was continuously pushing, probably because he wanted to overtake, obviously not knowing that he could stay 5 seconds behind. And get the podium. And then because of Lewis's 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, um, it meant that when the first safety car from Lance Stroll's crash happened and everyone pitted, because you pit under a safety car, they double stacked the cars. And because Lewis was P2, it the way they did it was they basically made Charles Leclerc serve a 5 second penalty because he
Hmm.
had to wait behind Lewis. Instead of, I don't know, pitting Lewis and leaving Charles out, or pitting Charles and then pitting Lewis afterwards, because it's Monaco. There's never only going to be one lap of safety car. It's Monaco. It takes time to clear things because it's a street track, it's tiny, there is no room. There's always going to be 2 or 3 laps of a safety car before it comes in, right? I do not understand why they threw away Charles's race by pitting him as a double stack behind Lewis. And he didn't understand either. His entire, like,
His radio was like
his
pissed off.
radio, because I had his onboard on for like a minute either side. His radio was like, why are we boxing? Why are we pitting? Why are you calling me in? And he didn't understand it at all, even when his engineer Brian was telling him obviously why they were doing it. Was like he was like, this doesn't make sense because it didn't. Why would you double stack them when Lewis has to serve a 5 second penalty? Like, it's ridiculous. You're throwing away your one of your drivers racing races just because
Your
I'm
supposed golden boy,
you're
mind
supposed
you.
to golden boy because you want to keep Lewis in P2 to fight with Kimi, even though he's even further behind because he has the 5 second penalty. Both cars are on fresh tires. If Lewis is quicker and it shows that he's quicker on track afterwards, put him behind, like tell them to swap. Don't force Charles to sit in a 5 second penalty and serve a 5 second penalty that isn't his to serve because his teammates serving one and you double sacking them for no reason. There was no need. I think maybe I could understand it if it was a different track that was easier to clean up. There was a shorter, it would likely be a shorter safety car. Maybe I would understand it, but it's Monaco. That is not a quick safety car. Never a quick safety car. Why would you do that? I don't understand. Like, it's like they've gone from
Unbelievable.
one extreme to the other, from not pitting under either safety car in Australia to pitting both at once with a penalty and giving both of their drivers a 5 second penalty in the course of it in Monaco. And it's, oh my God, I got so mad. I was genuinely like, did we forget 2022? I was like, I
Uh,
obviously was not a fan in 2022. I have since watched Monaco 2022 because I still haven't finished 22 actually. I need to finish that season. But it's like, did we forget the past mistake of double stacking at Monaco when you didn't need to and the communication was poor? Like this, I mean, it has Ferrari written all over it. Like it's a Ferrari pit stop. It's a Ferrari Monaco strategy. Like it's, oh, drove me insane. Anyway,
Understandably so.
yep.
I mean, low key, I was watching that entire podium. Um, Not necessarily preying on Isaac's downfall, but definitely like,
A little bit
get
praying on
Oscar
Isaac's
on this
downfall.
podium right
Downfall.
now.
Yeah. I was watching you and like other Oscar fans like
Come
moving in
on.
silence, hoping for the FIA to decide.
Okay, but we also have to talk about the FAA deciding these like race-defining penalties after the race. Because why are you going to get Checo, who is supposedly taking home Cadillac's first ever point in Formula One
My
after
bingo
starting what?
square.
P20, P21,
Yeah, they started very far back.
where
Um,
Cadillac usually starts. And you're going to tell me you're going to wait to investigate the penalty that could possibly define Cadillac's season until
mm,
after the race, where then you then promote Fernando to the points, which, like, I'm not complaining about that. That's my goat.
yeah,
But also, why would you delay a podium and championship defining penalty for Isaac Hajar
yep.
until after the race? Because
I know it was.
it was a
I
mess. And
was
also, I don't.
saying.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying to my stepmom because she and my dad were kind of listening to me crashing out. And I was like updating them through the race. I don't understand why they keep doing this. I
No,
don't
it makes no
understand
sense.
why they keep like this level of penalty where it could like genuinely change
A
the
podium, let alone the outcome
podium.
of a race.
Yeah, it's like the podium decisions. I don't understand why they take so long to come out. Because I was telling her about Vegas 25 with the double McLaren disqualification, but Lando being on the podium and being like, you could see it in his face. He knew he wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah,
But it's like, why do they wait? That is obviously slightly different because it's a disqualification. It's like Parc Ferme, whatever. But like
yeah,
this one specifically today, they waited so long, like an hour, I
yeah.
think,
And let's
at
talk
least.
about why Izak was getting freaking. I'm so mad about this. Let's talk about why Izak was getting investigated, okay? Red flag is called. All the cars come to the pit lane. They line up in order, whatever. The Red Bull mechanics were taking off parts of his car to like switch. Wait, I'm gonna pull out the actual FIA document because this is just absolutely unbelievable to me. If whether or not the parts that they were trying to change aside, your car is in parc ferme. The only things you're allowed to change are like your rear wings and your tires.
Yep.
Those are like the only things you're allowed to change. Why are you taking off your engine cover to try and alter other parts of your car in the middle of a race? I
Yep.
have to find this FIA document spot. One thing I have to say, it was document 81, which I was
Yeah, I saw
about to
that.
my pants because I thought Oscar was going to get a penalty. Another penalty, I should say. During the suspension of the race, mechanics of Red Bull were working on number 6 during the race suspension, other than as permitted under the regulations. So if you're saying that they broke a rule and they once they were caught doing it, they just decided to change everything else and put it back to how it was before, why are they not being penalized for going into the car in the first place? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's a very
What is the FIA has pissed me off so much
yeah.
this weekend. Why aren't they being penalized for trying to change parts that they weren't supposed to be changing in the first place?
I think the way they came about it, obviously, I do get both sides of this. I think the way they came about it was because they'd been caught and they didn't change anything, so the car was still exactly the same.
Mm,
Even though they touched it, they were like, nothing actually happened. So no infringement technically was other like obviously they technically
yeah,
broke it because they touched the car, but they didn't actually change anything because they put it back, or they just decided they left it alone after that. That's kind of where they were like they didn't gain anything from it because they were caught, so they put it back. So there's no
yeah.
point penalizing them because the penalization technically was them getting caught because they couldn't
Mm,
fix the car. But I also get
yeah.
where you're coming from being like they were trying to, they should like be reprimanded, but also I think the reason the FIA were like no further investigation
Is because they put everything
was
back.
because it was exactly the same car that came
Yeah.
into Park Ferme that left Park Ferme. Um, that's what I'm see. I do obviously understand the hope for an Oscar podium, but I'm also kind of like technically nothing happened with Isaac's car, even
Yeah.
though they were trying because they got caught and left it as it was.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a gray area in the rules of like, yes, they were trying. Yes, if they changed anything, if they'd continued and if they'd actually changed the card, then yeah, sure, penalty 100%. But because they put it back to what it was, and he didn't gain like he didn't actually gain anything else. He got the podium because Gasly's 10-second penalty, which Alpine have contested, I think,
Yes.
because they were measuring the pit
Oh yeah, they
entry.
had like a little stick thing that was
They were fully measuring the pit entry to see, like, to try and contest the two penalties. I don't think anything's come of that yet, but
No, I haven't seen anything
yeah, I
else.
haven't. But yeah, I think he still technically got the podium as he would have had they not touched
Yeah.
the card to begin with because they didn't change anything. So I think that's kind of why the FIA was like, never mind, it's
Yeah.
fine. You're not allowed to do that, but you also didn't actually do anything. So it's a kind of a weird gray
Yeah.
moment in that specific rule, I think. But yeah,
Alas.
alas,
But Oscar did overtake Lando in the championship standings, which makes
he
me feel
did.
a little bit better. Like I love Lando, he's my little gremlin, but once
Yep.
again, I am OP 8-1 down till I
Hmm.
die.
Yep. So, as it is the Spanish Grand Prix, Barcelona, Catalunya Grand Prix next weekend, which is crazy. Is that our first double header?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
our first
sure.
double
Because
header of the
the
season.
yeah, the first doubleheader was supposed to be Bahrain and Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia.
technically the first double header of the season.
Yeah.
We have our predictions, and a segment that we like to call Double DNF as of I don't remember when this came about. It's been so long. It feels like it's been so long. But our dear friend did come up with that name for us. So do you want to go first with your Barcelona predictions?
Yes. I think George is gonna get pole. I
Hmm.
have a feeling he's gonna come back with a vengeance because he did go pretty well at this circuit last year when Mercedes
Hmm.
was not as good. Again, he did kind of get taken out by Max at the end when he purposefully drove into him because he was mad.
Just a little bit.
He was just a little mad. But I think I'm gonna be nice to him because I've been kind of como se dice, giving him flack on my private account the past few days. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna be nice and put Charles in P3.
Hmm.
In P2, I'm gonna put my Shayla Oscar because he did get pole and win last year. Those
Very
Barcelona
true.
pictures are just mwah, so
Mm.
beautiful. And winning, I'm gonna say George is gonna win because I cannot stand to see that teenager on the top step of the podium. As much as he is my stupid cat and I think he's
Yep.
adorable, let me breathe, please.
Yeah. Yep. I know how you feel.
But if you'll notice, I do not have Kimmy in my predictions. So remember, this is the start of his disaster class last year in Europe.
This is true. He did
So,
struggle a lot with Europe last year. It will be
so
interesting to see if he does the same.
I guess this crazy prediction of mine is that Kimmy will not be on the podium this
Yeah.
race. I almost said this year, but he's been on the podium this
Well,
year. Let
he
me tell
has
you
been
that.
just a few times.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. My predictions. I have Kimi Antonelli on pole because as much as I would love to see George back up, I need him at least on a podium. Like, please, it's his 100th race for Mercedes next weekend because they're doing the whole competition to have your name on his board at some point over the weekend. Pretty sure it's his 100th
Oh,
race for Mercedes next weekend.
wow.
Yeah. So I would really like it for him to be on the podium at his 100th race and to not pull a McLaren in DNFing. Because that has been twice now, I think, because Lando didn't finish his 150th. And
Yeah.
then he didn't finish the 1000th for McLaren. So
Nope.
I'd like for George to be on the podium. So yeah, Kimi, however, is my pole sitter. My P3, I have Max. I don't know why. I'm just kind of thinking
I got a vibe. He's gonna come back with a
vibe.
vengeance.
He's gonna come out with a vengeance. Apparently the PU is the best, so we'll see. Um, and then at P2 I have George. Um, because I do in fact think P1 will be a pole to win conversion once again from Kimi, unless they take each other out. You never know. Someone might crash. They might crash. You never know. They might pull a 2016 Nico Rosberg Lewis Hamilton Spain Grand
Would
Prix.
that not be so incredibly funny, though?
That would be so poetic. 10 years later, and the exact same crash happens. Uh,
Ah.
that will be the only. Not to like wish ill on these drivers, because I obviously don't want anyone hurt. Like,
There's
that's obviously not
Here's
what I
one thing I
want.
have to say about that as well. This is sports. We're allowed to hate
Yeah,
athletes we don't like. Let's
yeah.
say that before TikTok comes for us.
Yes, we're allowed to hate watch a little bit.
Yes, a little bit as a treat.
So a little bit as a treat. So I would enjoy seeing that if it happened. Obviously, not wanting anyone hurt because that's just basic human decency. Um, However, it would be very poetic and very funny and very entertaining if the race I attend, because I am in fact going
Oh, you
to
are!
the Barcelona Grand Prix, and I am so stoked. We have pit walk for the
You
Thursday.
do! Oh my
Yeah,
God.
my friend locked in and got us tickets because it was like the Star Wars Celebration ticket queue.
Oh my God.
It was bad. But she locked in, she got us tickets. We are doing the pit walk. So yeah, we are. I am there. So it'd be very funny if my first race is of double Mercedes DNF. So yeah, those are my predictions. And then the double DNF segment, which is just how many people we think aren't going to finish the race, named by our lovely friend Nat. I think three people aren't going to finish. There has been better reliability. I say that loosely. Both Cadillacs did set on fire. Yeah, it's not been great. But I have a feeling three people maybe will probably DNF. What about you?
I think I'm gonna go with a solid 5. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be more chaos this weekend.
Yep.
Barcelona's always a pretty good race. I mean, as we
Yeah.
saw last year.
Mm.
And I know there's also something to do maybe with the altitude, or maybe I'm confusing that and Mexico City. But there's something with this track
Mm-hmm.
that some constructors don't do well at.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I am locking in 5. I have a feeling after last or this weekend, technically, but gonna be last weekend, next weekend. Um, Unfortunately, Fernando is on for a bit of a disaster class because wait, I completely forgot to mention he like hit the wall during qualifying.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Yeah.
that sort of bad luck is gonna translate this
Very true.
weekend at
Yes.
Barcelona. And I think at least 5 people are going to DNF. I also,
Okay.
unfortunately, have a feeling Alex Albon in my bones, just because Williams DNF this weekend.
Oh, Williams this weekend was absolutely awful. We didn't even
Yeah,
cover that, but that
miserable.
was evil race strategy from them. But it
Yeah,
worked
that
out in
was,
the end for Alex. At least
yeah.
Carlos kind of didn't do particularly well with the DNF. But
Mm.
Alex P8, we cheer. But yeah. So I think also because this has already been going on for like an hour and 40, hour and a half, hour and 40, we neither has managed to watch our race rewind either.
Nope.
So we are going to postpone that until Barcelona, which obviously we will have less to talk about because only be one race.
Yes.
Um, so we will postpone our race rewind and just watch the last race that we were given. So mine was
Yes.
2009 China, I believe.
Mine was 2006 Brazil, which should
Yeah,
be fun because Brazil is always a good race.
Brazil is always a good race. Yeah, so we will actually watch those this time, and then we
Yes.
will actually talk about them next time. Um, but yeah, I think that is it for us. Um,
That is it for this episode. Any final thoughts on any of the racing that we talked about today? Because oh my God, there was a lot.
there was so much, and I'm so ready to go to bed and sleep
One
and calm down.
one last thing. Again in the IndyCar realm, Alex Palou has gotten 4 consecutive poles in the IndyCar series. He got um what was it? He got it at whatever the race was before the Indy 500.
hmm
Indy 500 pole. I actually don't know where he ended up because he kind of dropped down a little bit because they were differing
hmm
strategies. Anyway, I've talked about the Indy
Anyway,
500 too much for
yeah,
a Formula One podcast. Indy 500, Detroit pole, and now St. Louis slash Gateway pole. Four
nice.
in a row. He genuinely scares me a little bit. If he came to Formula One, I've heard like
Mm.
rumblings and people saying like just take him to Formula One. I'm sick of this. Let them deal with it. That would genuinely be so funny. But like, where
Yep.
would he go? It's a matter of like contracts, and also there's been
Yeah.
like drama with McLaren, so I don't know if anybody else would want him. But anyway, Alex Palou, you scare me a little bit, and I love you.
hmm
Um, but thank you guys so much for watching. You can go ahead and follow us at the Double DSQ on all of our social medias. You can email us at the Double DSQ pod
hmm
at gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you after the racetrack.